Hey guys, welcome to the Heart of David. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, whatever you're doing. A lot of my videos in the last while I've not really talked about a lot about Jesus, but I just want to let you know, and us being saved and that type of thing. A lot of this stuff I'm talking about, though, just has to do with the end of time. We're in that time. I have no idea how long it's going to be. I see the things that are happening. But when I look at the world, I want to explain it to people. I want to explain things that I don't think, at least 90% of America doesn't know. Many other countries know, though, about America. What I mean about America, this goes for the whole world. But what I'm speaking of, in the strongest terms, is about North America and the West. I went to bed last night, and when I lie back in my bed, and I usually am thinking about God, and I'm thinking about all things about Scripture and stuff, and I wondered, what did Daniel really see? What did Daniel see? Because, if you look at his prophecies about, just the prophecy that he said, many will run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. What did God show him? Did God show him computers? And you wonder in these visions, whatever they were awake visions, right? They weren't I fell asleep visions, right? And it wouldn't matter anyways, because it's from God anyways. And I love Daniel. It makes me wonder how long these visions really were, because if God gives someone a vision like Paul, right? We don't know how long it was. We don't know how long Ezekiel's was. We don't know any of them. But since God can do anything, and if he can take you out in the spirit up to the third heaven or wherever he takes you, or he takes you in the spirit and just in a vision, who's to say that they weren't there for a number of days? And it was just 5 minutes of human time, right? That's probably the way it is. And is the arm of the Lord too short that he can't do those things, right? So I don't know. This is just, I'm thinking, how long were these things? What did he see? And I also believe that someone like Daniel and John were limited in the things that they were able to say. There were things that John wasn't able to say. The 7 thunders, right? Don't write down what. In any case, I don't know. That's just subjective to me. Not about what John said, but about Daniel. We're obviously in that time. And in the passage of time, in the passage of time, from the time that the steam engine came, right, to now, is not that long. I have no idea how long the earth has been here. I don't know all those things. Those things don't really matter to me. What matters to me, though, is the biblical history of how long that is, right? When you look back as far as that goes, if it is 6,000 years, I don't want to get into those kinds of debates, because they don't really go anywhere. There's a channel that I watch. I do recommend you watch this, but don't watch too much of it. The man is Muslim, but you know what? what the things that he's saying are true. And he talks really quick. He's really intelligent. But the things that he's saying about America and the world, I think he tends to focus on America. It's called middle nation. And pray for that person. Anyways, he's speaking a lot of different truths about the realities of how America came to be, how they got their wealth, these things. He talks about things all over the world. And you know what? I'm just about to finish a course in university, okay, in multicultural counseling and addiction. At first, I did not want to keep reading when I started it. White privilege, all these types of things. But if you read on, you'll understand what they're speaking about. There's a lot of things that people have gone through. I'm talking about colored people, what they did to the Indians. They basically did a genocide against them. They killed a lot of them, and they squeezed them onto a tiny spot of land. I don't want to get into so much of that, but people tend to forget these things. And if you're willing to open your eyes, and so what am I getting at? The fourth and dreaded beast, is that America with 800 military bases across the world that bombs everyone that they don't like? They support the worst things. And I'm not talking about the people, I'm talking about the government. All they do is sell arms, and they if you look at their history, it's horrible. It's really bad. And I'm not saying that other nations are not like that. And America certainly had its good things of Christianity, right? But outside of America, the things they do are very evil. And now the things that are inside are really bad. And what I'm going to tell you is probably worse than you think. So just give me a second. I'm going to gather some thoughts. I'm not making what I'm saying to be scriptural in the way the kings lift up their head. They take crafty counsel. And the 10 kings, whoever they are, it could be the BRICS nations though, but think about what's happening right now. Everyone is staring at a computer screen. Their phone. All they do is stream movies. The propaganda that they're spitting out, I can go to the news and it's endless bad stories. It's a devil's plan to pull us in so we're bombarded by the news. And it got so much worse just in the last 3 or 4 years, especially with the wars going on. They're making you stupid. That's what they're doing. And it's evil. And why are they doing it? Why are they allowing TikTok? Why are they allowing just take a look. Look at all the garbage on there. Look at all the garbage on YouTube. Look at all the garbage on all these things, on all these different all the news, just the news. We're bombarded left, right, and center. We're bombarded with ads. That's the way it is now. If you look in the United States, they're trying to keep you stupid. They don't want you to know what's going on. The disparities of how much money people are making, the 1% has 50% of the wealth. That's what it is. That's bad. And I believe that they want to keep you stupid so you don't rise up and try to take power back, try to bring back companies into the US. They outsourced all your jobs. Even here, I can't call a place that, with Amazon or my bank, and I don't get someone who's doing my banking for me on the other end of the phone who's from India. I have nothing against, or the Philippines or something. How do I know you're not taking my banking information? It's just like that. They're taking away jobs all over the place for different reasons. They're replacing you with robots, and it's going to get so much worse. I think they said in 2025, this year, by the end of this year, 85 million jobs will be lost due to AI. You can see them in the grocery stores. You can see all this stuff. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Further to this, if you look at go look at what the grade level, how good people are doing in school. Go on a street corner. Like it's really, really low, eh? And if you compare them to other people, it's bad. People in the US are not like they used to be. There's not as much innovation. There's not so much competition and innovation as there was before, because all people do is stare at a screen. And what does that amount to? The devil's distraction away from God. The grade scores are horrible. I used to watch, just out of interest, people would go down to the beach, to whatever streets in America, and they would ask any person. They wouldn't target people. Where is this place on a map? Can you show me the United States on a map? Can you show me Utah? Can you show me where Canada is? Or how about the Ukraine war? What about the Middle East? They can't do it. They don't know their own history. That's really bad when you don't know your own history, right? And even worse when you have videos of people who don't know anything spewing their own propaganda, whether they know they're doing it or not, refusing to admit the truth of history. So what happens with that? History is repeating itself. We're walking ourselves right into World War III. And why is that? It all started with the steam engine. I mean, you could say it was a whole bunch of inventions before that, but when things started to speed up, and they got to the point of technology that led to YouTube and TikTok and BlackBerry phones and smartphones, and where wars could be perpetuated, where hate could be perpetuated and spewed, and not, they talk about free speech, but not regulated. It's not regulated. I think, I'm going to show here. You can say what you want, but for certain platforms, like YouTube and Facebook, and not to have government control, but don't you think it'd be a smart idea to weed out evil people who purposely do things, bots and all those types of things? Everyone has a check mark beside their name to say this really is that person. Think of all the evils in the name of technology that's happened, that outpaces anything that's ever happened, which perpetuates us into the days of Noah. That's where we are right now. So, I don't know how long it's going to be, and you know what? People believe anything they see on a computer. If it's a YouTube video, someone's an expert, right? And just think of the things that they've showed us, alien craft. And remember what Mexico did? Their government. Why did they do that? They showed us and they said it was an alien. Can you remember that? Those are the things that they are doing to us, to our minds. And so you and I don't rebel, so we don't speak out, gather a group of people to protest, because that's what they don't want. Just think of the truckers' protest. They bombard you with, listen to this. I think I said this in a video. I was, when I had rented that car, I remember being in the car. Oh, that was nice to drive. I like driving, so I missed driving for something like 20 years. So anyway, I just remember sitting in the car and I heard on the radio that a new study came out. This is what it said. A study just came out. This is a real study. I don't know where to find it, but it was a reputable news station. And it said that people who, so say today, if you stop your Facebook, and if you stop an app that you're addicted to, so everyone is using Facebook and you're on it all the time, you're addicted. Whether you know it or not, you're addicted to the scrolling, to it's creating real ADD, not ADHD, that's hyperactive deficit, attention deficit. It's creating that. It's creating people who want something now. People no longer have patience. People no longer have patience. Remember, it wasn't that long ago in my time that to speak to someone far away, you had to write a letter, right? Well, I mean, long distance, a 5 or 10 minute long distance call, say from where I live in Canada to Utah, say that was like $30 for, in any case, you get my point, right? People had more patience. Just give me a second. I'll tell you the study. My throat. What did it say? That people who, and I did this, and I know it works. I try to tell people, they won't listen, like family members, and you have no idea how much better your life will get if you think, well, what am I going to do if I stop looking at Facebook? Remember what I told you. This has been tested that the scrolling on Facebook, the likes that you get, all those things, in your brain, if someone gives you a like, in measured in units, I don't know the scientific basis for this, but it can be measured. The dopamine that a person gets from cocaine, from one line of cocaine, is 400 units. And so is when you get a like. Can you imagine? Or someone shares your thing, or someone comments on it, a nice comment, right? If you pull yourself away from that for, I think it was 3 or 6 months, maybe even less, the study revealed that the equivalent, I'm not saying that this does this in a permanent nature, it doesn't, this is not what I'm saying. What it creates, ADD in your brain and whatever else it does, when you're using these things, they rewire your brain. So when you take it away, you start to get back your attention, and your brain reverses 10 years of age. 10 years. I'm sure that this was a massive study. I'm sure it was. Because it's easy to study those things. Can you imagine that? 10 years of reversal. That's a lot back. And you know what? Because you start paying attention to other things. And I don't mean moving from one to another. No, I mean all of a sudden you take it away, you go through your little withdrawal of who wants to know everyone's problems, what everyone's eating, where everyone is? Who wants to know all that stuff? And you get addicted to it, and it starts causing you anxiety. You become the Tower of Babel, right? Where everyone is together, the whole community, not the whole community, the whole world. And I believe Daniel saw this. In a sense, it's evil. In a sense. I'm not saying it's inherently evil. But why are you doing it? I can understand for business reasons and family and all that type of stuff. But you know what happens? You start justifying it to yourself, and you find you're only getting worse. People are committing suicide. People are doing all sorts of crazy stuff. You have no idea the things that have happened in the name of social media. Social media is a cancer on our world. What I'm doing here is this social media. It's a forum, but this is a Christian channel. And I'm telling you to be careful. And if you have children, to tell them, to warn them about these things, because you're not going to be able to stop them from doing it, right? Not only that, but this is like Silicon Valley. Although, can you imagine the power that Silicon Valley has wielded in this world? I believe without a doubt, you've heard in my other videos what I think about America, and I think they're absolutely in Bible prophecy, and I'm not going to get into that, but to say they aren't and that they affect the entire world like a country that never ever has and never ever will. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say the 10 kings at the end. Well, we'll see, right? I believe Trump is the Antichrist. I absolutely do. And Elon Musk, the false prophet. They're keeping you tied down. Do you know what would happen? There would be a revolution if social media stopped. People would start inventing things. They would start writing poetry. They would start writing books, and they would do well in school. And who knows? Maybe relationships would get better, and a whole lot of stuff, right? And so I'm going to move on to another subject related to this. Just give me a sec. I got to pace because of my abdomen. I'm not good for long videos, guys. Not too long, but I'm a more sensitive person, okay, by nature. If you're born again, you're probably like that too. We all have different parts in the body of Christ, right? I am the head. No, I'm just kidding. That's Christ. I didn't mean to say that. I meant the top. That was just a joke. It's just amazing to think how our world has changed so quickly. And yet, these things are not taught in school, not the way that it has happened. I don't even know. I've spoken to some teachers that say, can you imagine that so many places, so many teachers, around here anyways, and I'm sure it's happening all over the States, and they're only trying to stop this now, that they have their phones in class, that they can't do without them. Who knows? They probably have big fits and whatever. Too bad for the kids growing up today, man. AI and all these fakes and all this stuff. People can make it look like you. They can make a video. I could go make a video about anyone I want right now. Just sign up for AI. Make a video, give a picture, do whatever. Make dead people who I could... Anyone who's ever died in my family, an extended family, I could take a picture of them and make them come alive. Do you know that exists? Like you can make them moving around, because it, I don't know, it does like a 3D scan of the face and it does the rest of the calculations for you. Here's the other part I wanted to move on to. How about food? So, I do my best in life as far as exercise and food and stuff, and I have, as you can tell, I struggle in my videos. I have very severe abdominal pain disorders. I have 4 of them. They don't always happen all at once, but I'm forced to eat good foods. No, like I would eat good foods anyways, but a very small choice of good foods. Oatmeal and blueberries right there, oranges, and then I'm going to eat rice, and then I eat my dinner at the end of the night. But just to think of what's happened, our soils are no longer the same. Why? Because of all the pesticides that they release from the air. I don't know what they release from planes. Like passenger jet type planes, higher above in the atmosphere. I don't know, but they do release things. Our soils are not as fertile, and that affects everything. And preservatives and pesticides, and that is shown in the way that our sperm, the fertility, and you wonder why so many women aren't able to have children, right? And I'm sure a lot of things are happening to our genes, and I wonder, is it the plan of the devil to do that? Because he already tried to screw up the genes once, right? Fast foods and growth hormones, and you're addicted to those, and like, I believe, listen, don't take me, please research, test the spirits. I think it's something like 45 to 50% of young children, teens or something like that, in North America have pre-diabetes already. Think of the cost associated with that. So all the foods, you look on the foods, you see endless amounts of ingredients that never used to be there before. They've changed it. Eat good foods, oatmeal, blueberries, proteins and fibers and stuff like that. If you can't afford things and you have to use fast food and stuff, I'm not judging you or anything, man. I just hope that you can do well in your life with foods, because it does matter. It really does matter. You want energy. You don't want inflammation. It's what these foods are doing to you, and they're causing diabetes, and they're causing heart disease and heart attacks and cardiovascular problems, and so many people are overweight. So many people just would not be able to deal with tough times, right? These days. And it would be a real horror show in such big population centers if one revelation comes. I think you know what I'm talking about. I was just talking to a brother yesterday. Man, I got to pace again. I'm getting out of breath. Give me about 15 seconds for my esophagus to rest. Just need to rest it sometimes. It's like it resets itself. This bothers me, of course. Yes, I have to take pain medication. And I have one of the only pain disorders. It's the only pain disorder that is primarily treated with opioids. And without them, I can't even walk. So when I think of what's happening in the world, of course, I'm like, what would I do? You know, I've spoken to God about that. What would happen if it was suddenly taken away? You know? But when you look at society, and I was put through this, I had autism. I was a depressed, and I had trauma. I have trauma still. You know, these things will be with you for life. There's another thing. Our society's filled with trauma, and no wonder why. Bullying online and all that stuff. You know, all the stuff, it causes PTSD. Stuff that happens on here. I know it does. The medication age. The medication age. I just think I think it is evil. You know, okay, so in my studies, I just learned yesterday. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying, just think of when psychology started. I was studying about the Jews, about how to treat multicultural counseling. And no, I'm not targeting anyone. This is just what I happened to be reading yesterday. That all psychology and all that really originated from them. I forget if it was in America, but anyways, it was like Freud and they're actually overrepresented. They really see psychotherapy as a good thing. But I'll tell you something. Listen to this. I think psychotherapy. Okay, so now where we are and what you've learned in this culture, North America, yeah, it's not a bad thing to go see a therapist. It isn't. Or a psychologist, but when they start giving you meds, it's just it's an experiment. And it's not a good one. I was damaged 3 times by very serious reactions. The one with, you know what, in 2020, the one that triggered indirectly my pain disorder, the very first pain disorder that I got, full body intractable pain. And then another one that was given against my knowledge, without my knowledge, that really, really caused a bad movement disorder. Man. In my study, I wish you could learn what I just did, because I'm done the book now. That therapists here and counselors and all that type of stuff, when we're treating people from Vietnam, people from Africa, natives, they're looked upon in different ways by some people, especially at the beginning in the 50s and 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, because they didn't fit the West model. We have a model, you know, and we have the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, right? They're labels, and they hurt people. And listen to this. In psychiatry, you look this up, the average time it takes to get an accurate psychological diagnosis is 4 misdiagnoses. That shames people. That hurts people. They did it to me. It's normal. That's what happens 4 times. I'm not saying it happens to everyone, but that's the average. Other cultures do not fit our West model. What looks to us like it could be something that we know of, turns out not to be. They're different. Our culture is me. It's called individualism, where the rest of the cultures in the world are collectivism. They're family-based. And too bad it wasn't like that. And I don't mean communism. But when one family member hurts, the rest do. They help each other financially. You're taken care of till death, that type of thing. These are the things that have happened. And there's just so many things. I'm going to stop here. It goes on and on and on. Now they're you know, if you tell on your parents that they hit you and they didn't, you take your kids away, they can cut off your, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. You know what I'm going to talk about though. And the people who are pushing these agendas, I'm not going to say exactly who they are, but they get pushed through these applications. Absolutely they do. Algorithms and, you know, like, listen, I'm not saying I'm the best. Like, why am I only getting 13 views or whatever it is? And this person, it seems to, I have some more knowledge than this person. But maybe I'm more interesting. I'm not exalting myself, but I'm saying, how did this guy get, you know, 10,000 views in an hour? It's called an algorithm. And I don't know, you know, I just don't want to be part of all that, right? But this is what's happening in North America, and they spread their errors all over the place. And that's probably where I'll stop. I'm just giving you a picture of North American society right now and where we are, and how it's all about AI, and don't take your eyes off of the Lord. That's all I wanted to say. As I said, I haven't been talking a lot about, because I've done a lot of videos on Jesus and all the, what I mean is like scripture and different verses and stories and that stuff. But I'll tell you something. When I see the end approaching, I'm going to tell you about it, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's happening. History is repeating itself, and if you fail to look, you're going to miss World War III running right at you.